It's one of the most satisfying sounds in the world. A simple, elegant solution that seamlessly joins two pieces of fabric. We use it every single day on our jackets, our bags, our pants, and we never give it a second thought. But what if I told you this simple device was a colossal failure for over 20 years? That its first inventor died thinking his life's work was a joke, and that it took a stubborn, heartbroken engineer who locked himself away for months to crack the code and create the flawless design we know today? This isn't the story of a simple fastener. It's a gritty tale of mechanical obsession, financial ruin, and the long, difficult birth of an invention the world didn't even know it needed. This is the unseen story of the zipper. To understand why the zipper was such a revolution, you have to remember what came before it. For centuries, fastening clothes was a pain. It was an endless series of buttons, hooks and eyes, and complicated laces. Getting dressed, especially in the elaborate fashions of the late 19th century, could be a genuine physical chore, sometimes requiring a second person to help. The world was desperate for a faster, more efficient way to close things. Enter Whitcomb L. Judson. Judson was a prolific American inventor from Chicago. He had patents for everything from streetcar engines to pneumatic systems. He was a classic tinkerer, a man who saw problems everywhere and couldn't stop himself from trying to solve them. And the problem he decided to tackle was his own boots. Specifically, the tedious task of fastening the long rows of hooks on his high-top boots every morning. There had to be a better way. In 1893, he patented his solution, the clasp locker. It was a row of opposing hook and eye elements that could be pulled together by a sliding guide. By moving the slider one way, the hooks would engage. Move it the other way, and they would release. In theory, it was brilliant, one fluid motion to replace dozens of tiny ones. He teamed up with a businessman, Colonel Lewis Walker, and they launched the Universal Fastener Company to bring this miracle to the world at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. They were sure it would be the talk of the fair, the invention that would change clothing forever. It was a complete and utter disaster. The clasp locker was terrible. It was bulky, complex, and made of stiff metal. It had a nasty habit of popping open at the slightest pressure, and worse, it would jam constantly. It was less of a convenience and more of a metal trap you attached to your clothes. The public saw it for what it was, a clumsy gimmick. They sold almost none. The company was bleeding money. Judson kept tinkering, releasing improved versions, but they all had the same fundamental flaws. They were unreliable. For years, the company hovered on the brink of bankruptcy. Colonel Walker, the money man, kept the faith, but Judson, the inventor, grew despondent. After more than a decade of failure, he quietly left the company he founded. Whitcomb L. Judson, the father of the zipper, died in 1909, with his invention still seen as a commercial joke. He never saw it succeed. But the story doesn't end there, because Colonel Walker had hired a young Swedish immigrant, an electrical engineer named Gideon Sundback. Sundback was brilliant. He was methodical, and he quickly realized that Judson's hook and eye design was a dead end. The entire concept was flawed. He knew they had to start over. But his motivation wasn't just professional. Gideon Sundback had fallen in love and married Elvira Aronson, the daughter of the company's plant manager. Tragically, she died in 1911. The grief-stricken Sundback poured all of his energy into his work, locking himself away in the design studio. He became obsessed with solving the fastener problem as if it were a tribute to his late wife and a way to channel his sorrow. And in 1913, after months of relentless experimentation, he emerged with a breakthrough, a design so elegant and effective it would finally make the whole concept work. He called it the hookless fastener number 2. This was the modern zipper. Sundback's genius was to get rid of the hooks and eyes completely. He replaced them with small, identical, interlocking teeth. Each tooth had a dimple on the bottom and a small conical nub on the top. The slider, the part you pull, was key. It was a Y-shaped channel. As you pull it up, the angled sides of the Y precisely guide the teeth together, forcing the nub of each tooth to lock securely into the dimple of the tooth on the opposite side. It created a bond that was incredibly strong. The more you pulled the fabric apart, the tighter the teeth gripped. To open it, you just pull the slider down. A wedge inside the slider spreads the teeth apart, effortlessly releasing them. It was perfect, reliable, strong, and easy to manufacture. Sunback also designed the machine to make it, a machine that could stamp out the teeth and clamp them onto a cloth tape with precision. By 1914, the hookless fastener company, they had renamed it, was finally producing a product that actually worked. They had the perfect invention. Now, they just needed to sell it, and that was almost as hard as inventing it. For years, nobody wanted it. The fashion industry turned up its nose. It was a clunky, industrial-looking piece of metal, not something for elegant dresses. The company tried selling it for everything. Tobacco pouches, gloves, shoes. They had some small successes, but it wasn't the revolution they had hoped for. The big break came from an unlikely customer, the United States military. As the US entered World War I in 1917, they needed to equip their troops quickly and efficiently. Buttons in hooks were slow and clumsy, especially in cold or wet conditions. The military started using Sunback's hookless fasteners on money belts for sailors and then on flying suits for the Navy. The fasteners were perfect for military use. They were fast, secure, and could be operated with gloves on. The government placed orders for thousands of them. It was the first time the company had seen real, large-scale success. The zipper had found its killer app. After the war, the public started to take notice. The fastener, now mostly used on rubber galoshes, got its famous name. In 1923, the B.F. Goodrich Company was using the fastener on their new boots. The president of the company loved the ripping sound it made. He supposedly said, "Zipper up," borrowing the zip from a popular advertising slogan of the time for a different product. The name stuck. The company even trademarked the name Zipper. For a long time, Zipper was a brand name, not the name of the object itself. We just started calling all of them zippers in the same way we called all tissues Kleenex. But the final leap, the one that put zippers on everything, came from the world that had rejected it for so long: high fashion. In the 1930s, designers in Paris began to see the zipper not as an industrial part, but as a design element. The famous designer Elsa Schiaparelli was one of the first to use zippers visibly on her avant-garde dresses. Then, in 1937, the Battle of the Fly happened. Esquire magazine declared the zipper the newest tailoring idea for man. Designers promoted the zipper fly as a more secure, streamlined alternative to the button fly on men's trousers. It was modern. It was sleek. The zipper had finally become cool. From that point on, the zipper's victory was total. It spread from trousers to jackets, from luggage to pencil cases, from spacesuits to scuba gear. It became a fundamental, unquestioned part of modern life. The journey was long and brutal. It took one inventor's flawed vision, another's obsessive genius, a world war, and the final blessing from the world of fashion to make it a reality. It's a testament to the fact that a great idea is worthless if it doesn't work perfectly every single time. So the next time you zip up your jacket, think of Whitcomb Judson's frustration and Gideon Sunback's heartbroken determination. You're not just using a fastener, you're operating a tiny, perfect machine with a dramatic and almost forgotten history. What other everyday objects fought a long, hard battle to exist? Let us know in the comments. And until then, stay curious.